What up, peoples? This is Evan for Grips.com coming at you with yet another video. Today it is a Saturday, so for those of you who don't know what that means, it means soft games. The games on Friday night, Saturday all day, and generally Sunday all day are much softer than they are on your regular Monday to Thursday afternoon time. Can anybody guess why? Okay, I've given you enough time to try to figure it out for yourself. Whatever your guess was, we'll see if it lines up with what I believe to be the correct answer, which is that a lot of recreational players work 9 to 5 jobs, or whether it's 9 to 5 or not, they work during the week. So the only time they can play poker is on the weekend. Whereas the grinders, the professionals who play poker all day, every day, well, every day's a work day for them. So Monday to Thursday, you're going to get those guys. So table one with the ace king, I just popped in a 3-bet facing a button raise, just because that's what you do with ace king. Table two, I could have raised, but I opted to just check and keep my variance to a minimal amount on the flop, and once I get a decent board, I'm going to lead out. And actually, for that raise size, I'm probably going to peel with this gut shot, hoping that he has a strong hand. Table 5, I'm going to fold facing a 5x raise. I don't know much about this player just yet. But on table 2, I think I have implied odds that if I do drill a queen on the turn, I can probably win a lot more money. Now with 4 outs, assuming the king's no good, I'm about 11 to 1. So he raised me 250. 11 times that would be 27.50. So if we could get another $14 in on the turn and or river. One moment. Okay. But unfortunately we weren't able to hit our hands, so we're just going to check and fold. It's nice of him to give us 2 free pulls at that gut shot though. And given that he checked back the turn, I may have been off on my read that, thinking he had a strong hand on the flop. But that also means that probably instead of just having 4 outs for the gut shot, that the king was probably also good. So that's 7 outs and 7 outs twice. 27.5% equity. And to realize that by actually, I think we were getting immediate odds then at 27.5%. So I do have some outer tables going as per usual, and if anything interesting happens out there, I'll bring them over. I'm sorry if I'm a little distracted at first. I'm just kind of whittling down my selection of tables to try to hop onto later. And for those of you who don't play at Betfair, you have no idea what I'm talking about, and there's no reason to try to get you guys to understand. If you start playing Betfair, then you'll get it. Okay, table 4. This is a very easy call with the 6s. We're closing the action. It's a multi-way pot. These are all the things that we're looking for when we have a speculative high implied odds type of hand, like a pocket pair. And table 1, I'm going to c-bet to get him off some ace highs, although not too many, and pocket pairs that he may have. But alas, we have been raised. We have been raised. Wow, way too many tables open. There are a lot of games to choose from at 50 cents a dollar. Wow, 4 or 5 offsuit? What are you doing? You got cold call a 3-bet with 4 or 5 off? I mean, I guess once he calls a 3-bet with 4 or 5 to flop a pair is pretty fucking good. He's got to go with it. But man, what an idiot! What an idiot! And Yeah, Molly Sims, 3-betting me with the Jack-8 suited when I raise under the gun, eh? I'll remember that. In fact, I'll make a note just to make sure I don't forget. So I think the adjustment, given that Molly Sims is 3-betting wide there, is going to be to slow play our strong hands and to 4-bet bluff a bit more than we would normally. If the situation even comes up again, you know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Here with the 8s, I'm just going to 3-bet. They're both regulars behind, so if I flat, there's a decent chance I get squeezed. And by 3-betting, I give myself the option to 5-bet if I get 4-bet, although I think this early into the session, with it being his first time 4-betting, I probably wouldn't go with that option. And also it gives my hand good deception value, so that, you know, if he decides to slow play, you know, like an ace-queen type hand or something, and we both improve on the flop, it's pretty hard for him to put me on 2-8s there. 10-8 suited, table 4, going to fold. Ace-10 off, table 2, going to defend. We have position. We have a good hand. We have a hand that we'd be pretty upset about if we got 4-bet. So, just calling's where it's at. And on this flop, could go either way. If I thought he would stack off with like top pair here, if I raise, then I could raise, call it off. I also represent less hands by raising than I do by flatting, so I'm actually going to go with that option. If he has an overpair, it's going to suck, because I'm not going to fold. But if he has a 10, he's going to have a hard time folding it. And even if he's got like a 5 or a 4 with a backdoor flush draw, or like backdoor straight draw or something, he's going to be enticed to do something beyond just folding immediately. So he might be able to get some money in the pot. The other thing is, even though we have top pair, top kicker, I'm just going to swap these two tables since this one has more potential to be awesome. Yeah, even though we have top pair, top kicker, there are, you know, 3 shitty turn cards that can come that this player is definitely going to keep barreling on, and we're going to have no gauge of where we're at in the hand. So, like, it's partially for value. It's honestly also partially just to make the hand easier to play. Ooh, Bitco. I mean, this guy's pretty fucking aggro so far, so I don't want to fold out his bluffs. I'm just going to call and let him pot the turn again. Hopefully it's not that. Not so much because I'm worried about being beat when a 3 or a 5 comes off, but just because it's really likely to slow down the action. I think if he has an ace, though, he'll still at least like check call. Okay, so if I'd raised the flop, I might have been able to get it all, but I should still be able to get a decent chunk here with him snap calling the turn. I mean, that usually means like not the strongest hand, so he's like being like, dude, please don't bet too big, because I don't want to call a big bet. So if I was bluffing, I would bet big, but since I'm value betting, I'm going to bet smaller and hope that he just snap calls. No. I guess flush draw is also a possible hand there. Either way, it looks like I should have just gone with a flop raise before the board got scary. I was hoping that the board wouldn't get scary. Got unlucky. Doesn't mean I played the hand bad, because if the turn came off like a total brick and he just potted it again and then called the raise, you guys would be like, Grips, man, you play that hand so fucking good, dude. Like, how did you know to just slow play there? I mean, you just got to deal with whatever luck you get. Sometimes the slow play is going to work out. Like, I mean, let me just 3-ball this ace-queen. Yeah, 4 times out of 5, that turn is not going to be an action killer. So, you're going to say it's just bad luck. Alright, on this board, table 5, I'm going to c-bet just to fold him off of any ace-high type hands he may have, or if he has like king-queen or something. Even though I have that beat, I'd rather just fold him off of it than check and then like call and not know where I'm at on the turn. And I could just bink. So we bet this turn if we were bluffing, so we better bet it when we've got it too. It's a value bet. I'm not folding. If he slow played aces or kings, nice hand. If he flop nines, full, nice hand. If he's got tens, jacks, he's probably calling. We're getting some money. Flush draw, he's calling. All in. I call. Flop trip, motherfucker, son of a bitch, you. Oh, you got me. You got me good. Could I have folded there? With no information? I don't think so. If I knew more about this player and knew him to be like a tight player who, is very nitty about his stack offs post flop, sure. If you're against that kind of player, you can even bet fold an overpair on the turn there, because most people are not going to take the line of like call flop, raise turn all in as a bluff. It's just not something that like tight players do, who really just play their hand strength. But with no information, he could be the kind of guy to do that with a draw. He could be the kind of guy to do that with king queen. He could be the kind of guy to do that with jacks or tens because he just doesn't know what else to do at that point. So I'm fine with the play. Not happy about the result, but it's not the end of the world. And on table 3, I just 3-bet the king 2 suited there because it just felt like a good idea at the time. Here on one of the outer tables, got a little something interesting going on. This guy limp called pre, and now he's leading up for pot. Now I'm usually somewhat afraid of pot bets, but I'm also not very afraid of donk bets. So I'm going to let the donk bet factor override the bet sizing factor and just assume that my hand is good here. I hope he has like some sort of shitty ace that can call this bet rather than like a gut shot that's just going to fold. But even if I just win the pot here, it's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it. Open 2.5x on a button with a connected hand. Get 3-bet. Fuck my life. Auto fold. Queen 8 suited, table 2. Wasn't really feeling it. On the button, I'd definitely raise it. If it was Queen 9 suited, probably raise it. There, no. Gonna blast off here on an outer table. And that dude's donk betting into me again on another table, but not important. So, on this hand, I flopped, what looks like a little bit of showdown value with a deuce on the flop, but the odds of that deuce being good by the river are pretty low. So I decided I was just gonna fucking barrel instead. And I'm going to stick with the plan. If he has a set, I'm getting called here, but just about anything else is folding. And I think he's more likely to have a hand like 2 9s or 2 10s, even 2 jacks. He's trying to go for a block bet here on the river. So I don't know what I'm representing, but it's a stronger hand than what I think he has, so that's why I raised there. And it's important if you're going to like start blasting off on flops, like I did there with the deuce, that instead of playing it for showdown value, I played it as a semi-bluff, 5 outer draw, that you have to follow through when the board comes off well. If the turn had been like a 4, a 5, or a 6, I probably would have shut it down because it's not really a scare card. But on a queen turn, that makes what could have been the best hand on the flop, like top pair or better, or a small overpair, no longer such a strong hand. You got to just keep repping and put that pressure on. So Apple Crumble has been 3-betting me a bit. I'm going to assume that actually means he's 3-betting with a wide range, so I'm going to go ahead and slow play these kings and try to allow him to flop top pair. That's going to be pretty hard when I just flop top sizzler. But I'm just going to, slow play it down as I 3-bet the queen 6 suited on table. Table 1. Call. Keep blasting. I call. Oh, you shut it down. Check folding the queen of clubs on table 4. Kind of weak. Maybe should have bet, but I don't know. Just wasn't feeling it. Okay, I'm going to bet real assy on the turn. Try to make him feel like a total sucker if he has to fold for like 14 and a 38. Give him lots of room to spaz out over the top. Oh, you're all in? Tough spot. What do you guys think? Should I call? I mean, I want to raise, but that's not an option. Okay, I call. You got it. Aces? Yeah. Nice hand, buddy. Pretty sweet flop, eh? Guess probably would have lost some money there if it didn't come king high. And the best part about the way I played the hand is on like my poker tracker graph or my hold'em manager graph, it's not even gonna say I sucked out because I got all the money in when I was ahead. What's going on here? You guys are like, where? We don't see shit. Okay, I'll bring it over. Same thing as one of the other hands. I raised pre-flop, now this guy's donk betting. So top pair, decent kicker's probably good. Usually people lead out with like top pair, gut shots, second pair, bunch of junk. And on this turn, I mean, it sucks that there's a heart there, and it sucks that like a 9 and a jack make a middle pin 3 straight on the board, and then like a flush could come in. But I'm just going to call again because the donk betting range could have a queen in it, or it could have a flush draw, and I don't want to get all the money in debt here on the turn if he did have a flush draw and hit it. And the other thing is if he just has like a weak queen, and I raise here, he's going to fold anyway. So I might as well have like, I don't know, something else. Man, full pot. I mean, that's the size that I would expect him to take if he has a flush, but since he's donk betting and he should have had an exclamation mark on him the whole time, I can't fold to an exclamation mark, so call. Okay. He beats me. Straight up. Man, I knew I didn't like that hard on the turn, but there's exactly why. Even though I improved to 2 pair, I didn't just rip it in there on the turn. I would have got all my money in with like really shitty equity, like 9%. And even though I called the pot bet on the river, which was sizable, I still didn't pay off the entire stack. So I saved a little bit of value there. And honestly, folding the river was definitely an option. You guys know it crossed my mind because I talked about it, but I don't know. It's tough when you're up against a donk, but oh, you motherfucker! How do you peel that flop? He would have called the turn anyway if I bet again. He had a gut shot, so I don't think I was winning that pot unless I 3-barreled on table 5, and it's hard to 3-barrel when the board runs off bad and you don't have a lot of information about your opponent's hand. Got a weird spot against same fucking crab cake. So he called a raise and then he min bet the flop and then called my raise. So I'm thinking like mid pair. Whoa, not trying to bet that much. 1385 seems good. Oh damn, I got like no stack behind. I just don't think that he's min betting the flop with an ace. So there's a good enough chance that my 7s are the best hand. And if he has a draw or, a pair, so a 5-outer draw, I need to charge him. Can't just let him see a river for free, so I'm betting. But if he shoves on me, I have to fold. Nice river. I still beat most diamonds. Any mid-pair type hand made a straight or 2 pair though, so hopefully he doesn't front shove the river. Dollar. 50 to 1. I'd have trouble folding 9-8 here. Even 9-7. Might be tempted to call getting 50 to 1. Ooh, got you. And that's like there. I mean, he's a moron. That's why I don't want to fold the river against a player like that. But when he donk bets 3 times, you got to think he doesn't have nothing. And also when he bets full pot, that's just usually a sign from a weak player that they have it. Nikos, you're getting stacked, kid. The guy keeps raising bigger and bigger and bigger every hand. Like he's clearly ready to put the money in. So let's just give him room. When it comes around, he'll probably go again. Table 1, I checked the flop because I didn't want to get raised on this hand. Even though I have top pair, good kicker, I'm not really trying to play for stacks. So my plan was to like check call, but when he checks back, I just assume I have the best hand. Then I bet turn bet river. And we're going to swap that out for the table with our, what? Oh, come on. Just calls the turn and then raises the river. It's really weird. I want to believe him for raising the river. I just kind of confused what he's doing this with. I guess like 8-9. 8-9 probably. Anyway, swap it out. Oh shit. You guys weren't supposed to see my desktop files. Ooh, we frappe at a qua. Frap qua. And you know what we're gonna do? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna fucking call. So we got the Stone Cold Nizzles, and this guy is gonna blast. So when we got them drawn dead, we don't need no fold equity. We don't need that fold equity. We just work that pot equity. Call, 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 call. All in, call. Bet smaller, less than all in, raise, all in, call. You already know. Damn, he shut it down. If he has toe layer, he's folding. If he has a king, he's calling anything. He probably would have bet a king. Probably has like a 9 or a jack. So I'll bet something he can call. Third pot. Min re-raise with 9s. Just gonna call. See the flop. If my HUD was working, and I knew this guy was 3-betting a lot, might 4-bet the 9s. But it is risky to just like 4-bet and then have to get it in for 100 big blinds, especially when we've raised under the gun. So we showed the guy a little respect, even though he's probably a donk. And now he's betting full pot. It's usually aces. The min re-raise pre-flop followed by a full pot bet on the flop. Not every time, but more often than not, that tends to be pocket aces or some other sort of big pair. So like you got to be really cautious there when you get min re-raised and you have like ace jack and you call and then the flop's like jack high and the guy just like pots it. 'Cause then he's gonna pot it again on the turn. You might get sucked into the hand. Ace 7 suited. I wish I had my stats up, but I'm gonna fold. I mean, ace 7 suited, pretty good hand. A lot of good stuff can happen with it. But really not that many flops that it connects hard with. And then on the flops it does connect hard with, think about the hands your opponents have to have for you to get paid. Like let's just say for example you're trying to flop trip 7s. What happened here? Oh, you're donk betting? Alright, I call. I used to raise these spots on table 3, but I prefer to do that when I have 2 overcards. Because the donk bet, although it is generally weaker than a hand that would check raise, it's still very often top pair, and they don't fold when you raise. So as the board's running off kind of shitty, and there aren't a lot of good rivers for me, and I think this guy's going to bet again, I'm just going to fold turn. Rather than call and then fold river, that would be a waste. But if he'd slow down on the turn, then we probably had the best hand. We're just making our adjustments on the fly. But yeah, like a7, let's say we're trying to flop trip 7s. And for you to get paid, your opponent also has to have a 7. So that means there's only 2 7s left in the deck, and you need both of them to come on the flop. Odds of that happening are very slim. And if you're trying to flop like 2 pair to get paid, your opponent then needs to have an ace king, ace queen type hand to give you action, like minimum. Man, you motherfucker with your min bets. Last time you had a straight draw, but I have no equity. I could raise on table 3, but I have no equity, and there's a player behind. If it was heads up, maybe I'd go for it. But yeah, if you need to make 2 pair, and your opponent needs to have an ace in their hand, that means not only do you need a 7 and an ace to hit the flop, there are only 2 aces left in the deck, as opposed to the usual 3. So, less chances of the flop you need to coming. Yeah, there you go, he's leading with jack shit. So, you know, it's kind of wishful thinking to defend with a hand like that unless you have good reason, like the opener is really bad or the caller is really bad and they just like stack off real light. Like if you need a cooler to happen for you to get paid when you defend the a7 or whatever, you know, like a king 9 suited or an 8-6 suited or whatever, if you're like dependent on a cooler for that to happen and that's the only means you have of getting the job done, and you don't have a contingency plan for when you miss, then you're just going to slowly bleed away defending in that spot. If you're going to do some fancy stuff like playing your gut shots aggressively, mix in leading and stuff, then it's okay, but most people do not understand how to implement that properly and then know when to slow down. So it's actually better to just avoid the situation altogether. Even though it looks like a good hand, it's defending hands like that with no real game plan is just a slow, painful death to your bankroll. So what I'm saying is, if you've been doing it, quit doing it. It just, and like every once in a while, like, oh my god, the flop came 7-7 queen. You might have got a c-bet out of them. It's just because you made a big hand doesn't mean you're going to stack somebody. How we doing? I never check mid-session, but I'm so curious because I feel like we've been getting screwed. Oh, it's not working. Okay, maybe better that way that I don't know. It's an interesting thing, the whole like checking hold'em manager or poker tracker while you're playing. I'm going to defend this king jack suit on table 2. If it was offsuit, I would probably 3-bet or fold. But yeah, that's fine. And on an outer table, someone's trying to isolate the limper, so I'm going to re-isolate him. And on another outer table, some bullshit's happening. And I have the nuts. So I guess I'll bring it over so you guys can see me attempting to value bet. I mean, that's all that's happening here. So I'm going to call flop here, rep the ace better than I would by raising, and then if he checks the turn, I'll just start betting. Whereas by raising the flop, I just like, well, for one, I risk getting re-raised off my hand, which would really suck. And on another hand, I just like, damn, I missed. Well, if he has a flush draw, I'm winning anyway. If he has a straight draw, I'm winning anyway. So I don't really need to bet to get him to fold anything. The only thing I might be able to bet and get him to fold is like an 8 with the flush draw. With the ace pairing, I don't think he folds a medium-sized pocket pair. So I think bluffing here would be a pretty bad idea. So I'm just going to check and, God, you got the one hand. But with the aces being paired, and the fact that he had a pair and a flush draw on the turn, even though I know this sounds stupid, because, you know, on the turn he had a really good hand. But on the river, all he has is a pair of 8s. But to a lot of players, if they flopped a strong hand, or they turned a strong hand, they will make some absurd hero calls on the river just because at one point they had a really good hand. They're like, well, you know, I had, God, lose every flip. Queen, queen, God. Yeah, like a lot of guys, they might have like the straight draw and a flush draw, and they'll totally miss, but they'll hit like a pair, and then they'll call the river, only because at one point in the hand they had a pair and a flush draw, so they fell in love with the hand and they wanted to, you know, take that hand to the showdown. It's more prevalent in live poker, but that is a real thing. So I just really didn't think there was too much I could get him to fold there that was check calling the turn. I think the hands that I'm going to bluff him off of are just going to check and fold the turn. Once he checks and calls the turn, I'm looking to improve my hand, or I'm looking to put no more money in the pot. That simple. But yeah, like that situation, like someone could have the same effective hand strength, where except they flop nothing, but they river like top pair, and they're never calling. But the guys who flopped a monster, even though it's not a made hand, just like a monster draw, they're like, dude, there's no way I'm just going to let this go without seeing what the other guy has. Like, it makes no fucking sense, but they do it all the time. So, I mean, factor that in before, you know, making your decision on the river whether to bluff or not. If someone could have one of those stupid ass hands that just isn't gonna fold. Man, all right, time to get a little chilly. The opener's a fish, so the reg's gonna be 3-betting him with a wider amount of hands than usual. He's also been 3-betting a lot, so I know he's an aggressive player. And we have a blocker, an ace, which like decreases the chance of him having an ace by 50%. So that's a good spot to call 4-bet. And on this flop on table 2, gonna c-bet just to fold him off any pairs. Ooh, now we have a pair. And we have crazy action going on at the outer tables. I'm going to blast. I'm just gonna rep this flush hard to the river. Because if I check call here, like I'm kind of like conceding the pot unless I improve on the river. But by continuing to bet, I can. No! No. Speed tables? Fuck. Oh, man. And the sickest thing is, like, if I called or 3-bet, the flop wouldn't be ace high. It would have come out different. So sick. So sick. I'm just kidding. That's like, that shit's gonna happen sometimes. And for those of you guys who are new to Betfair, be careful with these speed tables. You don't get a lot of time bank, and you really have to pay attention to them or you'll time it a lot. And like, it's so tilting. So I would advocate not trying to play speed tables if possible. Just, like if you have a choice between a speed table and non-speed table, pick the non-speed one every time. But if there's a massive fish on like a speed table, by all means, you got to do what you got to do. Just pay extra attention to them because they go real fast. Just like out of nowhere, your hands, you're just like, oh, king's in the muck. What the fuck? But yeah, the king queen. If I check call the turn, I'm just like hoping that I get there. Whereas by betting, I can just like fold them off an ace. If I bet really hard, turn and river, I might be able to even fold them off like 2-pair or something. And the cool thing is that, well, we have the nut flush blocker, so we know he can't have the nut flush. So the hand that he would need to call us down if we like go really fucking hard, like especially if we're like 150 or 200 big blinds deep, we know he cannot possibly have it. So it's going to be very likely that our bluff is going to be successful. Okay, here with ace jack suited table 2, I'm going to overcall, see a flop, try to get some equity. And that's a massive raise on table 6. I'll just fold. They both check? Alright, I'll bet. I'm just betting on table 2 because I have a much better chance of winning the pot by betting here than I do by checking. It's the same thing. If I check this flop, like I'm just like, alright guys, I'm done with this hand. You two can fight it out for it. But they were kind of letting me know that when they checked the flop. So I'm going to take a shot at it. And like worst case, someone's like, watch me make a bad bluff on the outer table. King came on the river. I got a bet. It's a scary card. Huh. Everyone who's asked me, how do you play pocket pairs out of position, especially in 3-bet pots? It's pretty simple. You don't. It's just like, that's just like the biggest money leak, calling 3-bets out of position with pocket pairs. It's terrible. Don't do it. Like, even with like medium pairs and shit, like, you're usually better off folding or, yeah, I'm not going to tell you the other option because you might try and then get really mad at me when it doesn't work out. Just like, you're better off folding. If the hand's not strong enough to call the 3-bet with the intention of slow playing, then just fucking fold it. Save the variance, just fold it. You lose like 2 to 3 big blinds, whatever you open with. It's nothing. You know, you might like be taking it personal. Oh, this motherfucker's 3-betting me in position. I don't know if I can stand for that, man. I gotta defend my position in my hand. You don't. You don't. You just wait for the next hand. You guys think this is a good flop to see bet blind versus blind? I'm gonna bet it, but I feel like it's not the best flop to see bet blind versus blind. I mean, we have backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, a couple overcards, so it's okay. But like, I don't know. I think these like low suity, flushy, dry boards better just like check fold, or hope it goes check check, and then you can start smashing on turn. Because if you check the flop as the pre-flop raiser and your opponent checks back, that's a good amount of information that they're telling you about their hand. Wow, you auto check? I bet. You guys gotta be folding on table 3, right? Yeah. If you catch someone who has like, they instantly check when you check to them, because they probably have the check fold button clicked, yo, bet the turn every time. Ooh. Not against a crab cake. Ace-8 suited under the gun. Nah. Ooh, he wants to play it fast? Yeah. We're in, bro. We're in. More money. More money in the middle. Let's go. Just call? You cheeky motherfucker. Marlon. What you got, bro? 6s. Yeah. Man. I wish I'd... No fucking way! Oh my god. And then they're gonna like make me time out on these kings too on the speed table. God, this is fucking... This is crazy. I did no bad things to anyone last night, let alone the last fucking week. I don't know what I did to deserve this. On the bright side, I remember some person was like, yo, can you post a video where you get sucked out like 10 fucking times in a row? And then like show us how to still like maintain your composure and play cool? I guess this is a message from God that like, here's your chance to show them how to just get fucked repeatedly. It's cool though. The Ace King, I mean, I made it way bigger than I need to. In fact, I probably should have made it like $15. But I figure if you made it 5x, he's not going to fold. So I'm just trying to get the money in. And I'm actually going to bet a size to induce a raise on the turn on the flop from King Queen or Ace Queen or 8-9 or any of those hands. I'm obviously never folding, but he also might call with like something stupid and then fold to my turn shove. So betting small on the flop here is kind of cool. All in, a call. Pair and a flush draw. Yo, give me the fucking money. That's right, you give me the fucking money. 10-7. Get the fuck out of here with your bullshit. God damn. You guys see, like, okay, I'm not c-betting these low flops anymore. I'm over it. They're such good flops for people to float, for people to bluff raise on. AKA, take the hint. If you defend in position and one of these flops comes out, blind versus blind, start putting some pressure on your opponent. It's hard for him to do much about it. But yeah, there's such good candidates for that like there's almost just no point in c-betting because the c-bet's going to work so infrequently, and when the success rate of your c-bet's like nil, then you're burning money. Usually we're c-betting in spots where the expectation of it working are very high. But that one, especially like blind versus blind against a regular who understands that they're not just supposed to fold like bottom pair and shit. You got $20. I'm all in. Yeah, they're gonna make moves and they're just not gonna fold. So you just gotta like respect. And it's okay to check fold as the pre-flop raiser. You just have to make sure you're not doing it too much and understand when's good to be doing it. But yeah, like, we're running pretty bad this session. Losing flips, losing when we're like 70% favorite, 80% favorite, or whatever. But that's just, every once in a while, that shit's gonna happen. You can't run good all the time, and anyone who says they always run bad is lying, or they're in denial. Like, there are times when everyone runs really fucking good, kind of like here when I just flopped mid-sizzle. But he probably didn't have an ace, yeah. He limp called pre, so it's hard for him to have an ace, but I still can't, like, slow play there. But yeah, everyone's had sessions where they run super good. Every pair they have makes a set. Every straight draw, flush draw they go for gets there. When you have aces, the other guy's kings. When you have queens, the other guy's jacks. Like, everyone has those sessions. But for some reason, people forget the times that they run like God, and they only remember the times that they run terrible. And then over, like a year of conditioning, they think that they always run bad. But, like, dude, you've been blessed at least one night in your life. Admit it. You don't run bad every single time. No one does. If you run bad all the time, you're losing all the time, you're probably just not playing good enough. Because luck comes and goes. You're going to run good sometimes. You're going to run bad other times. It's about making the most of the times you're running hot and not timing out on pocket aces when you're on a speed table. It's a pretty big squeeze. I mean, it's just the size of the pot. Oh, great. Latif probably just timed out on kings. Yeah. Terrible. This guy's folding. For sure. Because the third caller can never have shit. Why are you tanking, bro? Why are you wasting your time, Bank? The reason I didn't make it smaller, though, was because I think if the first player called, then everyone calls, and then I'm playing a four-way pot with aces. Which kind of sucks. But, if it wasn't a speed table, Latif would have just gotten his good hand there that he had under the gun, which is what I was just kind of hoping for. If someone's a tight raiser under the gun and you have big pair in the blinds, you just 3-bet that shit so that they can 4-bet and you can get the money in without having to play any post-flop. Check. Yeah, you guys see. I'd still just stick with my game plan and just ride it out. And, then I start winning some hands. I won the flush draw against pair and a flush draw. Hopefully I will win one more pot before the session's done. But, you gotta think of your poker sessions as just, they're each part of one really long session. How you did in the last 100 hands, how you did in the last hour, how you did in the last day, it doesn't matter. Once you're talking about how you did on the month, okay. How you've done in 3 months on the year, that matters because now you have a large enough sample where luck is not going to be as major a factor as it is in the short term. In the short term, the majority of what decides your results is going to be your luck and how you're running. And it's only when you're dealing with large samples of hands that you can really have a clear idea of whether you're playing well or not and start, doing some analysis to identify if you're making any mistakes or anything. So, short term, it just doesn't matter. But everyone likes to check, well, how much did I make today? How much did I make in the last hour? It's very important for people, but they should recognize that it's irrelevant. And if you let it affect your play, then that's bad. Man, I want to check fold here on table 3. I'm just going to bet and hope he has ace 9 or ace jack or ace 10 or ace 8 and calls. It would be pretty sad if he raises. Maybe he had a pair and backdoor flush draw out there. Now, a lot of people would be like, well, we're running bad, so we're probably fucking beat, but let's just see what he has, just, to be sure. But, I decided I was bet folding here, so I'm going to stick with the plan. And I'm going to bet fold. And not spew off an extra 60. Because those river bets and those river raises, even though it's only a single bet, it's a very big bet. In that case, it was 60 big blinds. And if you start making bad calls there, it's really hard to make up for that in the rest of your play. If you're making small flop and turn mistakes, that's okay. But when you start making river spews, people are going to have to play really bad against you to make that up. Because it's not that easy to get, paid off on river bets. So you got to be making sure that you aren't paying off other people on them. So much going on. I flatted with ace king, and I call flop. I isolate queens. Now I'm gonna bet flop. This guy's two barreling. I'm done. Not calling down 2 street. Oh god, fucking speed team. Piece of shit. This is what I get for giving you guys bonus coverage. And nothing even happened on those good hands. I'm just going to keep blasting on table 2. His most likely hand is pocket pair. So if I just... God. If I kept blasting and the river came off good, I'm afraid of this min raise on table 5. That's why. Min raise always strong. Especially on turn. Yeah, if I just kept blasting the river came like king, queen, or jack, I could fold him off like a hand as good as pocket 10s. When the board comes off double paired, I can't get him to fold like pocket 7s anymore. I could check and maybe call because I could beat a flush draw. And I don't know if he would just value bet like a hand like 7s here. That's what's going on. Alright, he called. There are a lot of spades he could have. Big bet. But so fast. That was, yeah. I was gonna say, he wouldn't be value betting like a small pair, like a 7s or something, but the one hand that he could have had on the flop that would call was a full house. And he bet 44 because he had pocket 4s. I should have known, like, so fucking obvious, right? And at the last minute, I really wanted to just, like, whatever, I didn't, I called. But my reasoning was I thought there were a lot of suited hands he might have. And if he gets to the river with a flush draw, and I checked him and he has, like, king high, or jack high, or 10 high, like, he can't check those back and win it showdown. Whereas if he had the ace high flush draw, he's probably just going to check back because, you know, he's got good showdown value and that's a good river for him. So I thought there's a lot of hands he could be turning into bluffs and only deuces and 4s that he could really be betting there for value. So against the overall range, I think it was okay. I would have liked it to be a smaller bet since he was laying me like 9-4 or something. I'm allowed to make one bad call. Right? It's not like it was the worst call ever. It just wasn't the best. I'm going to do one more orbit because there's a topic that I've really been wanting to talk about all video, and there's just been so much action that I haven't had a chance to say anything about it. And it's about short-term results and the stupidity over the obsession regarding short-term results. Because even a really bad player can run like God one night and win a ton of money on a session. And I'm sure most of you guys watching this have seen this before, where the worst player ever just keeps catching every card he needs and he just builds up a massive stack and it seems like no one can stop him. It doesn't mean he's playing good, it just means he's getting lucky. And if he's playing bad and he continues to play that style, he's eventually just gonna bust it on the nights when he stops running like God. The better you're playing, the less help you need from the cards to be a successful player. The worse you play, the more you're just living and dying by the edge of the deck, flip of the card. You guys think this guy folds a king if I bet? I bet flop, check back turn. Now I'm gonna overbet the river. So I bet regular amount, like half pot. I think he calls with the king. I want to go for that overbet, maximize my fold equity. I mean, if I had an ace, I'd probably bet big. So, yeah. Now people people are playing poker, it's easy for their confidence to get affected by how they're doing. When people are winning, they play a lot more fearless, they're willing to try more plays, and they might gamble more assuming that everything's going to work out for them. Whereas when people are losing, they might play scared, might make too tight folds because they just assume they're going to be beat every time because they were beat the other few times before. Or they might do something really silly and like try playing in bigger games, trying to chase losses. And that's human nature. That you're affected by the information that you're getting and how you're doing. And a lot of people, a lot of my friends will constantly refresh their poker tracker and then hold a manager stats during the session to see how am I doing, how am I doing, how am I doing. And they're looking at the graph to see how the graph looks. Are they making like a good stock market type of graph, or are they straight going down? And they say they just do it because they're curious how they're doing, which is true. But as soon as you see that you're either winning a lot or you're losing a lot, you're going to play differently than you would if you didn't know that information. And generally when you get negative news, you're going to have decreased confidence and you're going to make worse decisions. Also, really bad thing about Hold'em Manager is that if you're winning, it's in green, which is cool, but if you're losing, it's in red. And red just naturally has a negative connotation to it. Think about when you get an assignment back. What color are the corrections made in? Red. What color is the downward arrow in the stock market? Red. What is the color of the light when you need to stop and not go? Red. What are some good things associated with the color red? I mean, red's associated with anger. I think red's also associated with passion, which is cool. But the first thing I think of when I think of red is anger and bad. And if you're looking at your poker tracker and you happen to be losing, even if you're down like 3 big blinds or something, but your overall net is down, you're going to see a red number. And you might think that's nothing, but just seeing that red is going to trigger something in your head, in your mind, just a little bit that's going to negatively affect you to some degree during the session. Could be very minor, but it's still going to have an impact. And more importantly is that your decisions on each street, on each hand, are completely outside of all the decisions on every other table that's happened. So whether you've been running good or running bad on one table has no impact on the other table. So why should your results of how you've been doing so far in the session have an impact on what your decisions are going to be in all your other hands? Each hand should be played in a vacuum with the information at the table. What are my opponent's stats? What is my dynamic with my opponent? What are our ranges? What are our hands? What are our stack size? What are we going to do? Not, oh, well, I'm up 200, so I can afford to gamble here. Or, I'm doing really bad this session, so if I can get this pot to break me even, then I'll be out of the hole, so I'm going to do everything I can to win this pot. Those are what we would call, like on a multiple choice test, red herrings. They're irrelevant information that are throwing you off the right path that you're supposed to be focused on. So try to remember what's important, and if you can bring yourself to do it, once you start Hold'em Manager or Tracker, get your HUD up, and don't look at the program again until you're done your session. How you are doing during your session should have no impact on how you play. And as much as you want to deny it and try to say that you're different and you're stronger and you're better than that, if you feel the need to check how you're doing, then you're also going to feel the effects of knowing how you're doing during your session. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I gave you guys that losing session you've been hoping for. We probably lost like $200-300. But the information that we gained was worth way more than any amount of buy-ins at 50 cents a dollar, no limit. As always, please leave me your comments on the video page, and if you want to get some of that free coaching, like us on Facebook. This has been Evan for Grips.com, and now it's your turn. Go out there and get stacking.